Most gardeners think that fertilizer is the only way to feed soil. They believe that without chemical or even organic inputs, yields will drop, plants will weaken, and soil will degrade. But the Amish and other experienced growers who truly understand soil don't rely on purchased fertilizers at all. Instead, they use a simple but highly effective rotation system that builds mineral-rich, biologically active soil over time. And if you're not using rotation intelligently, you're leaving your garden's potential on the table. I've tested these techniques in raised beds, backyard gardens, and even hydroponic systems. The first thing you realize is that soil health is not about what you add, it's about what you allow the soil to do naturally. One tool that completely changed how I manage this is a 4-in-1 soil moisture meter. It measures soil moisture, temperature, pH, and sunlight intensity, helping you see exactly when your soil is ready for the next crop or when it's being stressed. I'll leave the exact one I use in the description if you want to check it out. Using this meter saved me countless mistakes, like overwatering or planting too early, which can compromise even the best rotation plan. The big mistake most gardeners make is planting the same crops repeatedly. This monoculture mindset might seem harmless at first, but it kills soil health over time. Repeated planting depletes specific nutrients, encourages pests, and gradually reduces microbial diversity. I've seen raised beds fail to thrive after 3 seasons of tomatoes or peppers in the same spot. Leaves yellowed, yields dropped, and the soil became compacted and lifeless. That's where crop rotation comes in, and the Amish have perfected it over generations. Their approach isn't random, it's intentional, systematic, and focused on creating balance. So here's why rotation works, and honestly why it beats fertilizers in the long run. Each plant family, has different nutrient demands. Leafy greens, for example, really consume nitrogen, while root crops tend to pull a lot of potassium. Legumes, on the other hand, actually fix nitrogen back into the soil, and flowers or herbs can even help suppress specific pests. By rotating crops through the same plot in a planned sequence, you're basically allowing the soil to recover naturally. Microbial populations shift to match the plant roots. Organic matter decomposes at a steady pace, and minerals are cycled efficiently. When I started mapping my own 7-step rotation in raised beds, I noticed immediate improvements. Beds that were previously depleted responded better to natural compost and mulch inputs, but honestly, even more strikingly, the plants themselves became healthier, with deeper green leaves and stronger roots. Step 1. Legumes to fix nitrogen. You'll want to begin with beans, peas, or clover. Legumes have this unique symbiotic relationship with nitrogen-fixing bacteria. This really enriches the soil for the next crop. Now, one thing most gardeners overlook is that simply growing legumes isn't enough. They need time for roots and nodules to fully develop before planting the next crop. I use my soil meter to monitor moisture and temperature during this phase, just to make sure the bacteria remain active. If it's too dry or too cold, you end up losing that nitrogen boost. Step 2 is all about leafy greens to take advantage of nitrogen. After legumes, you should plant nitrogen-hungry crops like lettuce, kale, or spinach. These plants will really thrive on the naturally increased nitrogen, so you won't even need to add extra fertilizer. Honestly, I've found that spacing these crops correctly, about 25 to 30 centimeters apart, maximizes root expansion and keeps the soil nice and aerated. Step 3 involves root crops for mineral cycling. Carrots, beets, and radishes are next in the rotation. Root crops pull potassium and other trace minerals deeper into the soil, which is super helpful. Plus, as their roots grow down, they break up compacted layers and improve the overall soil structure. But here's the thing, if the soil is too dry or the pH isn't quite right, the roots can deform or stall, so it's really important to check with the soil meter before you start planting. Step 4 is brassicas for pest disruption. Cabbage, broccoli, and cauliflower are just great for rotating in at this stage. They help disrupt pests that might have built up on your earlier crops, and their heavy foliage adds a lot of organic matter back into the soil. Timing is key here. If you plant too early in cold soil, growth will be slow, but if you plant too late, pests can still attack. So, monitoring the soil temperature is definitely the way to avoid those issues. Step 5 is all about introducing light feeders or herbs to help balance out the nutrients in your soil. This stage typically includes crops like onions, garlic, or a variety of herbs. These plants don't take as much from the soil as others, but they do contribute organic matter, thanks to their fallen leaves and root exudates. This really helps restore balance before you bring those heavier feeders back into rotation. Personally, I like to apply a thin layer of mulch at this point. It helps preserve moisture and encourages microbial activity, which, by the way, is something I always monitor with my 4-in-1 soil meter. Now, step 6 is all about cover crops for restoration. Planting things like rye, buckwheat, or mustard is absolutely crucial here. These cover crops work to protect your soil from erosion, suppress weeds, and improve microbial diversity. You're not growing these for food. Instead, you'll incorporate them back into the soil at just the right time, creating a nutrient-dense layer for your next rotation cycle. And, yeah, I always keep an eye on soil moisture with the meter to make sure those cover crops don't dry out or get stressed, since that would really lessen their effectiveness. Step 7 is the optional resting phase, or what's sometimes called green manure. Some garden beds really benefit from a short fallow period, especially if you combine it with green manure crops like clover or vetch. This gives soil organisms the time they need to fully process organic matter, stabilize nutrients, and maintain overall microbial health. Even in small backyard plots, rotating in this resting step every 2 to 3 cycles can make a noticeable difference in plant growth and yield. So here's why this method really reduces the need for fertilizers entirely. Rotation actually replenishes nutrients naturally. Nitrogen gets fixed by legumes, potassium and trace minerals are cycled by root crops, organic matter is built up by heavy foliage, and microbial activity is maintained through cover crops and, minimal soil disturbance. Over time, the soil just becomes self-sustaining. In my experience, after about 3 full rotation cycles, the beds needed almost no supplemental fertilizers at all. The results? Well, you get mineral-rich soil, healthier plants, and higher yields without those constant input costs. Small adjustments make a huge difference. Even, serious gardeners can make mistakes with rotation. Overplanting one crop family, skipping cover crops, or planting without monitoring soil moisture and temperature can really undo the benefits. That's why I rely on the 4-in-1 soil moisture meter to track soil conditions throughout the rotation. It tells me when the soil is ready for planting, when cover crops are thriving, and when irrigation adjustments are necessary. Simple measurements prevent wasted effort and maximize results. How this applies to raised beds, backyard gardens, and containers. Rotation isn't just for large farms. Even small raised beds can use a 7-step rotation by adjusting crop choices and timing. In containers, the principle is the same. Rotate plant families, use cover crops or green manures when possible, and monitor soil conditions closely. Hydroponic systems are a little different, but the concept of alternating nutrient demands and supporting microbial life in growing media applies there as well. The key takeaway for serious gardeners: the Amish don't buy fertilizer because they don't need to. They work with soil biology, use crop rotation strategically, and maintain natural nutrient cycles. By adopting a similar system, even in a small backyard or container garden, you can build soil that is rich, balanced, and productive without relying on external inputs. If you want your garden to thrive like the most successful organic growers, start with a 7-step rotation plan, monitor your soil with proper tools, and pay attention to moisture, pH, and microbial health. Over time, your soil will become self-sustaining, your plants will grow stronger, and your yields will increase significantly. Subscribe now if you want more advanced, practical tips for real gardening success, and share this with someone who's still treating fertilizer as the only path to productive soil.